Today, so one of the standards for 12th grade is to, um, so we're gonna determine the meaning of words or phrases in the text. We're gonna figure out their figurative and connotative meanings, and then also analyze how specific words in the text affect the tone. So, what can you guys tell me about figurative language? Okay, and then what about a metaphor? Exactly, as you should. Obviously, so there's more that goes into figurative language, but for time's sake and in the context of these poems, these are kind of what we're going to be looking for. Okay, so you're gonna pull out the Hope is a Thing with Feathers by Emily Dickinson.
Hope is a thing with feathers that perches on the soul and sings a tune without the words and never stops at all. The sweetest in the gale is heard, storm must be the storm that could abash the little bird
That kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and in the strangest sea, yet never in extremity. It asked to come with me. Okay, so just reading it, what is the tone? I guess we're gonna go over tone. The tone is similar to atmosphere of the poem, how it makes you feel. Yeah, stuff like that. Calm. Anything else? Relaxing. Oh yeah. Peaceful. Was there anything else? So we're going to kind of go through, keep the tone in mind as we kind of determine the meanings of words, phrases, and keep in mind connotation. And I'll go over it. So connotation is, it's how a word, it's an implied meaning of a word that it adds to the literal meaning of the word. So kind of for example, if I were to say confident versus arrogant, which one's more positive? Confident. Okay, and then obviously arrogant is a little more negative. So that's connotation for you. So we're gonna start. So I'm gonna go through, you're gonna mark it up as I mark it up. It's kind of the figurative first line, which is hope is. So what figurative meaning is that? Hope is the thing with feathers. What was that? What's the figurative language being used? So it's more of a metaphor. It's kind of connecting hope to a thing with feathers. So that's gonna, yeah. So it's just, Emily Dickinson is just comparing hope to a bird. I've said that 2 times. So let's go to the thing with feathers. So what connotation do feathers have? What comes to mind when you think of feathers?
Light.
Light? And birds? Graceful? Is there anything else?
Soft.
Soft? So then also what I thought of was light, and it it seems fragile, doesn't it, a feather? But obviously a bunch of them, it makes a whole like organism fly, so they're pretty like strong. So there's that. So how does the connotation, and then let's go to the word purchase. Yeah, so you're just gonna loosely copy it right like that. Yeah. So what would the connotation of purchase? Well, what does purchase mean? Like perch. To perch. Not her. To sit, yeah. So what I think of is like if you ever held like a bird and it's just like on your finger. It feels kind of, birds obviously little like, I think like parakeet. They're really fragile, but their grip on your finger, it's like sturdy, obviously they hold themselves up. So that's kind of the connotation of purchase. As you can see, like kind of, we're going to go down to the third stanza. So chillest land, we'll just do these 2 lines. That's gross. These 2. So I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea. So what do these 2? So like chillest land, strangest sea. Let's start with chillest land. What do you think of when you think chillest land? Antarctica. Okay. So let's narrow that down a little bit. What are like the characteristics of Antarctica? Cold. Are there a lot of like people there? Desolate, isolated. Okay, and then strangest sea. Does that bring anything up for you guys? For that one, I was just thinking like lost, kind of like overwhelmed with the vastness of the ocean. So I would say that these 2 lines are pretty important to the poem. Okay, so we've done like, obviously all those words tie into the connotation, tie into the tone. Yeah. So what would I've experienced as a teacher, obviously. So did you guys kind of understand how those words affected the tone? Yeah. Can I clear anything up for you guys? Like, can I clear anything up for you guys? Were you confused at any point? Okay, so just that, obviously, connotations matter. So we're done with that poem. And then if you go to Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day by Shakespeare, everybody listen.
Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more true. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May. The summer's leaf hath all too short a date. Sometimes too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often it is.
Just read it again. Is his gold complexion dimmed? Brag thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to me. So yeah. um, is there anything you can think about for the tone? This one's a little bit like, obviously it's confusing, it's old English, but can you think of any tone? Love you. Anything else?
Passionate.
Passionate. Is there anything else? That's kind of that's the gist of it. So, what's the figurative language that's being used there? Is death a human? And can humans brag? Yeah. So with that personification, what exactly is being said on this line? What does this phrase mean? What was that? Summarizing? Summer's ending. Was there anything else? So with the personification, I got that the figurative meaning was that, so it's personifying death, and it's kind of saying that death has this, death is kind of seen as a shadow over all of this, right? We're all going to die. So death would kind of be like writing, like, yeah, like she's like around my shade like all the time. But Shakespeare's saying that that's not going to happen. Like this passion, this loving feeling is going to it's just going to go on. So yeah, that's kind of how you finding the figurative language and finding the context, the tone. It kind of helps you figure out what certain words or phrases